Welcome to Office Hours with the Professors of Practice.
So, in pure golf blueprint form, we have no intro. We don't really know where this is going to go. We just decided we're going to sit down and do this. And so, for everybody listening, we're pumped to be here, and also sorry in advance that we don't have a cool, splice yet. We don't have any cool images. When Golf Blueprint first started, Kevin and I literally did this sitting on a Zoom for 18 hours a day for a month, and it's worked out up to this point. So I hope it's going to work up to in the future. And here we go. This is our office hours. We're pumped to be here with absolutely no agenda. Well, sort of an agenda because it's Kev, but I have no agenda. I'm just kind of here.
Yeah, stick with us for these first 10 Office Hours episodes or whatever that we have. But we've heard our Golf Blueprint members and those follow us on the social media that they want to hear a little bit more of our voice and just have a way to interact with us. So these are in typical professor fashion. We're going to hold office hours approximately once a month. Answering our Golf Blueprint members' questions and also adding in a little bit of flavor. We can't keep Nico at bay. I got an agenda. He will blow this thing up very quickly. But our hopes with this is to have, a quick 30-minute session once a month where we answer some of your most important questions around practice, golf, and maybe get a little bit into life or whatever. But that's our goal here. So again, bear with us. We really don't know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out as we go. Real quick, Nico,
Kev has an agenda. Yeah, I want to read the first one to you because this is exciting. Kevin, what have you been working on with your own game? Look
Man,
at
I
us
was
staying on track.
Man, I was going to ask you what type of intro music you want. I know you're going to go with Iration. Shout out Poosh Daddy, Golf Blueprint.
Oh,
Golf Blueprint, religious follower, working on his golf game so he can beat the no lane up boys. But man, what have I been working on my game? I finally committed. My putting stinks. Just like I talked to you and convinced you your wedge game stinks, my putting stinks. I am finally working on it. Got the putting mirror out. I've talked to some people, including you. Finally going to commit some time. For 5 years, I've been just walking past the putting green. I just draw a strike through on all my golf blueprints and the putting drills that you give me. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to commit and I'm going to work on my putting and allot some time to it. So I'm finally admitting that.
I had putting on my 2025 goal list, and I can say conservatively, I've probably spent an hour on the putting green for 2025 up to this point. Maybe as all of my, tour putting friends will text me and be like, have you worked on your putting? The answer is no. But I'm with you. I think like as I start thinking about getting back into tournament golf, I panic on the putting greens. That is always something for me that is a massive fear in my game. It's not, ball striking at this point, and I think we should go back because for GB members, you guys have to understand ball striking is where you're going to make your gains.
That's right.
Putting is important if you're terrible at it. But if you're average at it, I mean, when we built GB, it was based on Hideki. Like Hideki was, the rising superstar at the time. And it was like, okay, if you can be the best ball striker in the world and then putt good sometimes, you will win. But the best putters in the world who are terrible ball strikers play on the Corn Ferry Tour. Like that's probably the reality of the situation. And so, yeah, I focus massively on ball striking. I know you have too, to get it in a
Oh, yeah.
place where you feel confident every round you show up that you're going to hit it good. And on the days that you putt, those are the outliers. Those are the days you shoot 65 and you make the mid-am.
That's right. My goal with working my putting is really just to feel comfortable on the greens, to feel confident. It's not so much technical work or I'm not going to be grinding over my setup. I'm going to get a good setup, but really it's just spending the time. So when I have a 6 footer under pressure that I feel like, hey, I'm going to make this rather than just feeling a little shaky when I get down through the ball and start pulling that putter back. And that'll be my sole goal, get to the point where I feel confident. When you come and we're playing a little match, like we're playing against Jaime and another buddy the other day and had that little 12-footer on the last hole to win the match and just feel a little shaky on it, right? Just felt like, okay, I'm not sure this is going to go in or not. And so I want to just get over it and be like, yeah, this is going in. We're going to cash it. So that's the goal, like you said, ball striking number one, and I'll stick with that.
And for you, when you're going through it, what gives you that confidence? Because I know for me in my game, I will speak first for myself. Time and reps give me confidence that, okay, when I'm in that situation, I've done this over and over and over again. And I kind of just overwrite my brain's anxiety with, no, I've just done this 10,000 times. Like, what does that for you? Like, what, if you were confident over that 12-foot putt, what would have gotten you there? Like, what's the reverse of how you?
Yeah, I think precisely what you said, just the reps that I know when I go out in the course, I put in the process and I put in the time to be confident in my putting. That doesn't mean I'm putting good on the practice screen. It just means, hey, I said I was going to commit, let's say an hour and a half this week to practice putting. And I did that, right? I did commit to that hour and a half. That doesn't mean it got better. That doesn't mean I'm, seeing everything perfectly. But it's like, hey, I put in the time I told myself I was. So let's just free roll it and go, and we'll learn from that. I think the other thing for me, like from a more technical standpoint, just do I see a start line? Does the ball get on the start line? Ultimately, like that's the only, I don't care about setup or my putter head's going or whatever. It's like, okay, that spot I picked the foot off my putter face. Does the ball roll over it when it leaves the face? And if that's going on, I'm pretty happy. And I know, after that, everything else is just figuring out pace and break.
Yeah, at that point, it's just, does it go in or does it not? At 12 feet, your make rate's going to be pretty low. On my own end, as I'm thinking about this, one of the biggest challenges over the last 5 years of GB has been transitioning from golfer to content creator. And I'm using content like very loosely. But when we first started, our friend Paige, she said to me, she was like, you're either going to play professional golf or you're going to make content. It doesn't work both ways. And I didn't understand what that meant until I moved to Jupe and I watched one of our GB tour guys just hit a 1 yard fade for 18 holes in a row. And it was the most sickening thing I've ever seen. Like he just aimed 1 foot left of every pin and just didn't curve the ball, didn't do anything. He just hit 1 yard laser fades. And I'm standing there looking at this hole like, oh, if I hit a 40-yard hook 9 iron to a back left pin that's 195 yards, that'll probably get, 20,000 views and it'll be this great content. And content golf and real golf are not the same. I think now that the YouTube content creation is out there and people are starting to see, them play under pressure, you're realizing that professional golf is really, really boring to watch. It's consistent, it's hitting the center of the face, it's making 18 holes of good choices. Content golf, if you watch that, it's so boring and no one would watch, the average guy just grind out a 70 on a Thursday, but that's what gets them in contention for the Friday to make the cut, for Saturday, and then Sunday. You only see the crazy shots on TV. You don't see the fact that they made 17 holes of good choices. And yeah, they had to hit that one flop shot during the round, but that'd be a pretty boring YouTube video to watch or a pretty boring, Instagram 15-second clip. So I've been intentionally working a few days a week of leaving my camera at home and just playing golf, like going out and playing with the tour guys in Jupe, getting my absolute doors kicked in and being like, okay, how do I score my golf ball? Because I have a lot of shots and I have a lot of tools in my bag, but putting them together over 18 holes is not something that I'm very good at. To use this like quite blunt in my own game, I get very little out of my game. Like I have lots of talent and I get very little out of it.
Yeah, I think you see too many things. There's a top level golfer that we've worked with that said, I think the saying is something like, "Good golf is exciting, great golf is boring. Learn to play boring
Yeah.
golf." And something you touched on
Yeah.
there, I think we can transition into our question and answer session with our members. Is one of our motivations for this. You mentioned that like creator versus professional golfer, and really thinking about who you are as a player, and then designing what you do and your practice and all that around that. I know, we've been fortunate enough to learn from the highest level pros, and we translate some of that into Golf Blueprint and their plans. But the most important thing is, hey, we're not trying to be pros. You're not trying to be a pro. I'm not trying to be a pro. I presume a majority of our Golf Blueprint members aren't trying to be pros. So our goal isn't to practice like the pros. Our goal is to learn from them what they do, but really think within our own games and within our Golf Blueprint members' games, what makes the most sense for their practice and getting gains when they actually go give their practice. So part of this question and answer session is to do that better, right? We do that through our plans already. But this is a nice way for us to hear from you all as our Golf Blueprint members on how else can we help you? What else can we answer for you so that you're getting the most out of your practice and your golf blueprints? So shall we begin?
I think that you nailed that too in the tour side. Like I spend most of my time in Jupe with the tour guys, and so much of the time that I spend with them is spent at coffee shops just chatting. Like literally these questions where they'll come and they'll sit down and ask me like, "Hey man, how do I practice this or what do I do for that?" Like I got to spend some time with former Masters winner the other day, and he said to me something I didn't really think of in passing, that one of the most important things that we ever talked about was that practice before you play. There needs to be a physical break. And who knew
Hmm.
that 3 years ago? He's been doing that ever since. He doesn't practice and go straight to the first tee anymore. He practices, sits down, has a smoothie, has a coffee, and then warms up for 5 minutes and then goes and plays. So those are the kinds of things that when you guys are listening to this, think about the questions that you have. And believe me, there's no dumb questions
Done.
and nothing is too minute, because at the tour level, we are thinking about minutia every single day. And in your game, if you're anxious about something, if you're curious about something, just ask us. Like, this is one of those, like, please, please, please ask us every question you can imagine. So Kev, fire us away.
All right, we gotta start with, you'll recognize the name, I know, Lonnie Mallow, my man.
Dr. Malo himself.
From, I believe he was with us. He's been with us from day one of Golf Blueprint, right? When we were
Yes.
just knuckleheads figuring out what to do. Got a text from a buddy of ours in the content world saying, "Hey, I got a bunch of people interested in Golf Blueprint. I don't know what to do with them." And we created a website. And Lonnie Mall was one of our first guys. So I'm gonna take advantage here. You typically are the one that runs the trains, and when we're in meetings and stuff, like you're the voice for the player. So I'm gonna take advantage of this digital format, and I get to play MC here. So Lonnie asks us how to alter practice as an event gets closer. More situations, random, especially as a handicap golfer is always actively making technical changes to the swing.
So, first of all, Dr. Malo couldn't have just asked us a softball question,
No,
to just start us off. Like, there's 6 intricate questions in here that I will get derailed on each of them. Kev,
I'm gonna be
just,
I'm the bumpers of this outfit. So
just, I
for
love
the
it.
for the listeners, Nico will be taking lead on most of the questions. I'll play the bumpers and I'll add color in my own commentary as needed. So my bumpers are ready. Go
So I
fire
love
away.
I love the Kill Tony podcast, the comedy podcast, where they give the 1 minute sound of the cat that meows and then the bear goes off at a minute and a half. We're eventually gonna have to implement that, I think, because I will talk for 20 minutes about this. So, Lonnie, how to alter your practice as an event gets closer. Okay, let's do 2 things. First, have you been practicing? That's like day one, hour one. Like, have you been sticking to the script? Have you been working? Because I know a lot of times, Kevin and I talk about this, like life happens, kids happen, work happens, whatever it is. If you've been sticking to the script, let's just assume you've been practicing, you've been playing. As the event gets closer, I personally like to add a little bit more putting and a little bit more short game. I know that under duress, I'm going to miss some more greens. I'm going to dump easy wedges, into bunkers. And if I make that first 6 footer in a tournament, I feel like I'm going to make,
Mm-hmm.
17 more holes of putts. But man, if I stub that first chip, I hit it to 10 feet, eesh, gets me a little uncomfortable. Kev, I know we've talked a little bit about that. Like, do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think you hit on first whatever you're. I think what you're touching on there in terms of like, are you practicing? Are you doing whatever? You don't want to do significant changes. So wherever you are, if you're not practicing at all,
No.
don't all of a sudden ramp up, be hitting balls 5 hours a day for 5 days in a row. This, I learned that from Harvey Penick. He was religious about whatever you're normally doing. Kind of, you want to make minor modifications, but you want to stick with kind of what you're doing going into a tournament. And the other part that you brought up there was add some pressure in. Right. Think of the pressure points. And I think short game is where come tournament, Nico and I, as Nico mentioned there, hey, ball striking is key. You're not going to be good at golf unless you're ball striking. And part of that is the tee ball and getting that in play in a good place. Right. But under duress, under pressure, short game is where the flaws really come out, where the pressure really happens. If you happen to watch the Chevron recently, just take a look what happened on the
Oof.
72nd hole with the chip there. That
Oof.
all I had to do was get up and down, and she wins the tournament. So that shows you exactly, add in some pressure situations, do the stuff you did as a kid. Hey, this is to win the Masters. I got to get up and down here to win the Masters. One ball, semi difficult chip. Really talk yourself into that. Go through your routine. Really work on your breathing, your process there. Slow it all down and work on that as much as possible. Lay down 10 balls from 5 feet. Hey, I got to make 8 of these to win this tournament. See if you can make 8 of them from 10 feet or from 5 feet. Do little things like that to
Lonnie, we
just build
did
in the
one.
pressure.
Yeah, we did one the other day. I posted on Instagram where you play 9 holes up and down. Your goal is to shoot even par. That's like the best tournament reps ever because you're chipping it and then you're putting it, you're chipping it and then you're putting it. And you get to set how hard you want to make it depending on, what your short game area looks like. I just did it on a putting green because I wasn't taking big divots. Don't be that guy at, a club that's like taking divots on the putting green. That's one. So situations, I would say just put yourself in the stress. Like, you can't simulate the first tee, but you can get pretty close. I mean, we've talked about this a million times with heart rate. Get your heart rate up, hit some putts, hit some tee balls under pressure. That's day one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what to do. And then just give yourself the grace that, dude, you're gonna be nervous. I will share this anecdote from tour. The best players in the world are terrified, and I know it sounds shocking because no one ever says it. You know, I will never say it as a, you know, oh, my player was terrified. They're all nervous. They just are better at, like Kev says, kind of keeping it in between the bumpers, and their bad shots don't look like, you know, the chunk hook that goes 30 yards. Their bad shot looks like, hey, they pulled it in the bunker under stress, not they bladed one into the, you know, the cart path and whatever. So part two, Lonnie, as a handicap golfer who's always making technical changes to your swing, let's bring this one back to tour. Every tour pro is constantly making changes to their swing too. For some reason, amateurs think that that's like, you know, only affecting them. And I know that Kev has had this happen where Kev made a big swing change like 2 years ago, and he sent me a video, and I was like, did you send me the after or the before? Like, it always looks different. Dude, it doesn't look any different. Go ahead, Kev.